Avengers, assemble. Welcome back to Sanders Presents. I'm Greg, and if you're enjoying the content we're producing, please consider sponsoring us on Patreon, assembling and becoming an Avenger today. We have two tiers available, a $3 tier and a $5 tier. At that $5 tier, you become an Avenger Premium member, and your name is added to our Avenger Memorial Hall of Fame along with these other lovely people. Thank you all so much for sponsoring Sanders Presents and for making this content possible. To all of my sponsors, to all of my Avengers, thank you so much. So we are going to get right into it. This is kind of a follow-up week, if you will. We've had a lot of videos where we've put out and wanted feedback and interaction with the community, and we've gotten that in droves. And to start it all off, as the title of this kind of reveals itself, the bugs. We did a video on a bug report. We got a lot of great, amazing feedback that Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics both need to take notice of. This is pretty much, I've organized it to the best of my abilities, but really, we've got a wide spectrum cast, and that is to say a lot of the similar issues have been encountered no matter what you are playing on, except for Stadia. And everything we've gotten, we have nobody from Stadia. Make of that what you will. Either nobody's playing on Stadia or Stadia is damn perfect. But anyway, I digress. So we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna try to make this quick. And like I said, it's organized. A lot of the bugs seem to overlap. So I'm not gonna call out like every single user. I'm just gonna try to be quick about it and to note it. And hopefully, the goal here is that we can look at this bug report in the future, and then as Marvel's Avengers is updated, as everybody gets back to the studio, as people start getting back to work, we can see these bugs fixed. We can see the game cleaned up. We can be able to knock this stuff off. Now, obviously, it's a live service game. Every update, everything is going to come with a bug. That's inevitable. It is inevitable. Especially, I absolutely understand and respect the fact that Crystal Dynamics, they are not a live service developer. They were thrown into this. This is not necessarily in their wheelhouse. I'm not saying bugs should completely be allowed to run rampant. We've got to get this sorted. As a community, as a fandom, playing this game, we have to get these bugs sorted. I mean, because especially in terms of the conversation around gaming, World of Warcraft launches, not kind of bugs. Is it a different kind of game? Yes. But in terms of the online aspect, in terms of the multiplayer, getting people together, running a raid smoothly, running dungeons smoothly, you can't launch with bugs. If you can, they got to be minimal and they got to be easily fixed. But if you look at the pedigree of World of Warcraft, if you look at Destiny, if you look at Star Wars The Old Republic, if you look at when Star Wars Galaxies was around, Elder Scrolls Online, I mean, any of these games, Halo, any kind of multiplayer component games, you have to get these things fixed efficiently and quickly, and you've got to try to at least keep it down to a manageable level in terms of bugs. Yes, every update's going to add bugs, but we've got to try to get them fixed. Now this varies. I know some people like it when this happens. It's still technically a bug, but you have four. You start an online match. 4 people. You have a full team, 4 real people, and the game adds 2 AIs. Sometimes it's just one, but the game adds one other AI hero that's a double of someone else, or it adds 2 others. So you're running with 5 to 6 people in a mission. That's always funny when it happens for me. It is a bug still. We do want that fixed. I would rather run with, 6 real people. I'd rather be able to have the game pushed up to that number. But in terms of a bug, it happens. And it pretty much happens, like I said, across the spectrum, no matter what you're playing on, just based on everyone who has touched base. Then we have health returns to only 1 bar after being revived. I've not had this happen to me, so I don't really know exactly the circumstances surrounding that. Again, this was another widely reported one. This came in a lot. And then we're going to kind of quickly blow through a couple of these. Skins changing randomly. The skins you start with, hair missing, eyes missing, skin missing, limbs missing. I've had all that happen to me. Again, that list goes on. Just weird visual model bugs. That's been going on since launch. Hopefully that can be sorted. Hopefully that can be sorted very efficiently and very quickly. Ranged attacks are blocked by invisible walls. This came, again, across the spectrum, this came from a lot of people. It's not something I don't think I haven't. If it's happened to me, I haven't noticed it. Just to be completely honest, I haven't noticed if it's happened to me, but apparently it's happened to a lot of you. Enemies don't spawn, meaning you have to reload the checkpoint. Mission objectives don't spawn, meaning you have to reload the checkpoint. That's happened a lot. That has happened a lot. I've seen that myself. I've seen that on the PC. I've seen that on the PS4. That happens a lot. Enemies phase through the floor before combat, and enemies phasing through the floor during combat. That's yet another thing. We had that up on our previous channel. We had enemies spawning when we were live playing the game, and the enemies were underneath the map, forcing us to reload and restart, which again, all this happens, and that's been happening since launch. We've got to get that narrowed down. We have to get that stuff fixed. We do, because it changes the conversation. And then the raid. The raid frequently crashes during the party gathering screen. Again, and honestly, the problems with the bugs in the raid, I could make a whole separate video on, in terms of disconnects, in terms of enemies not spawning, in terms of the boss not spawning even. I don't know how. Now, again, I don't know how widespread these all are, but this is everything that's been reported. And this is literally everything that's been reported. Boss not being spawned, unavoidable attacks, attacks not doing damage to the boss, just attacks not doing damage to enemies, enemies being invincible. It goes on and it goes on and it goes on with stuff like that. Or some variation thereof, but it all kind of boils down to those basics. In a tier of what do we fix first, what do we get moving on first, hopefully the goal is this all gets knocked out. Hopefully the goal really is that this gets knocked out, and we can just start, checking them off. Like, okay, this has been cleaned up. This has been cleaned up. And again, we want a clean experience. We want a good, solid experience. We want a good, solid experience, and we want other people who try the game to have a good, solid experience as well, because we want the game to expand. Whatever happens in the future of this game, we can't say for certain. I mean, we just can't. We can speculate endlessly, and we can drum up a bunch of clickbait nonsense, but at the end of the day, we don't know. We have it right now. We play it, and we hope for the best. Obviously, Crystal Dynamics, they are still learning in terms of live service. They were pretty much thrown into the deep end. And I think that could be its own separate discussion as well. And again, if anybody's interested in that, in having an honest conversation that kind of looks at Crystal Dynamics and the perspective of what they were brought in to develop versus what their history had been, that's an interesting conversation there, but it is a different one. But it does show, the bugs and their approach, it does show that they are new to this kind of service, that they're new to, or at least in terms of this angle. Now, as patches come out, as we kind of approach, new patches and new updates to the game, hopefully we'll be able to take a look at this and we'll see a lot of this stuff fixed. And again, in the comments, if there's anything kind of out of the ordinary that wasn't really wrapped up in this, in terms of these kind of bullet points, if there wasn't anything wrapped up here, then as always, please leave. What I like to do is leave leave what you're playing on, Xbox Series, PC, PS4, whatever. And then if you have a wired internet connection or if you're connected wirelessly, like, through Wi-Fi. But leave those details whenever you're discussing your bugs. I do appreciate that. I'm always kind of interested to see if, because again, I like the spectrum. I like the net being cast, but I also like to know about zeroing in. What's interesting, though, is that nothing stands out being tied to one console. I mean, the same things are spoken about across the spectrum of consoles, which is interesting in and of itself. That's that's still data. That's still important data. But there's nothing here that no one said something. And honestly, to everyone who reached out to me, to DMs, emails, and comments, to everyone who reached out, no one had anything that was only for them. Like, they said something, but then someone else said, the same thing, and they were on a different console and connected differently to the internet. So, again, large issues. Hopefully we can narrow them down. Hopefully, like in some cases, Crystal Dynamics can take information like this and can move on it, and can really move on it efficiently, move on it quickly. To my Avengers, thank you so much for sponsoring Sanders Presents on Patreon and for making this content possible. If you're able, please consider supporting us on Patreon by following that link in the description below and assembling with us. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. I do appreciate it. Please like this video if you haven't, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and share our content with your friends. It helps immensely with YouTube's analytics and algorithms. Above all else, and most importantly, stay safe, take care of others, and have a marvelous day. Bye, everyone.